We're back here at the RGV Sports Show. This is Armbar. My name is Jay Ochoa alongside Jaime Esteban. And our last guest for the day, one of the all-time greats, a member of multiple Hall of Fames, not just the WWE Hall of Fame, but also the International Sports Hall of Fame, and the winner of the Arnold Classic of 2002. Ladies and gentlemen, the world's strongest man, Mr. Mark Henry. Mark Henry, from one Texan to another, welcome to the 956, the Rio Grande Valley.
All right, it's good to be in the Valley, man. It's been a little while.
Yeah, the last time we saw you here, you had a ferocious matchup with Kane. This was back in 2011. I don't know. I mean, I know you've had so many matches over the years. I'm not sure if you remember in Hidalgo that one tape, like a street fight you had with Kane. Anything?
I remember. I think the last time I wrestled in the Valley was in 17 in Laredo.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I may have not been able to make that show, but I'm sure for the fans that got to see you, man, they definitely got their money's worth, as they do every night, of course. Mark Henry, of course, before you got into wrestling, you were, of course, in the world of both power and weightlifting. What brought you into those worlds? What inspired you to want to start picking up weights at an early age?
I was a fan of the Olympics. I think the first Olympics that I can remember was probably 76. I was probably about 7. And I just watched it every year after that. Just like I wanted to be a strong guy.
Definitely. And, of course, from the sports world in power and weightlifting came, of course, the world of pro wrestling. As a fan, did you grow up as a wrestling fan? If so, any inspirations, any people that you looked up to?
Well, I mean, first off, it was Andre the Giant. That was like the first person that I was like, wow, I really like that guy. Junkyard Dog was another one. And the Von Erich family, of course, everybody loved the Von Erichs.
Definitely. Those were some of my early favorites as well, so I definitely feel where you're coming from with the Von Erichs. Your first pro match against Jerry the King Lawler at In Your House Mind Games back in September of '96. Any memories you'd like to share about that?
You know what? I realized that I was traveling a lot. I had never traveled that much. Before that, I probably flew twice in my life. And I was flying 4 days a week all year long, and I was like, man, what did I get myself into? But it was worth it.
One of the best interviews I've seen on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast includes you, of course. A couple things you brought up. One were some memories of another great Hall of Famer who's unfortunately no longer with us, Yokozuna. Any funny stories or any stories that you like to share in general with Yoko that people have not had the chance to listen to yet?
I don't know. I think I told it on Steve's. Kind of the funny thing is Yoko wanted me to go get him some food, and I was putting my boots on, and I said, I'm in the early match. I'm in the dark match. He said, you better hurry up. And I went and got him a bucket of chicken with one boot on.
And, of course, also, one of the other things you also talked about is that you had a book coming up, The Life and Times of Mark Henry. Any information on that or anything that's coming up with that book?
Well, I mean, I'm probably a quarter of the way through. I got enough notes for about, golly, another 40 chapters. So I mean, it's gonna be a big read because, you know, I've lived 3 lives, and really 4, but 3 where I was world champion, and to tell all 3 of those stories requires a little time.
Definitely understandable. Jaime, any questions?
I mean, Mark, you're very awe-inspiring. You know, back in high school, you kind of motivated me to lift weights. Unfortunately, I didn't want to be, you know, like hardcore weightlifting, like in weightlifting competitions, but I did want to be, you know, big, such as you are. You know, what are your favorite matches in WWE? Like, who is your favorite opponent?
You know, I really didn't have a favorite opponent. I mean, I wrestled everybody. Like, if you name a great wrestler over the last 25 years, very likely I wrestled them. I mean, the most I guess superlative matches I had was like, you know, with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, you know, in a main event, Hell in a Cell with Randy Orton, World Championship with Big Show and Kane at the same, in a triple threat. I mean, I've had hundreds of matches that were for world titles, and with Kurt Angle and Goldberg and Ric Flair, The Rock, you name somebody, like I've been in there. So, I've had a pretty blessed career.
And also, Mark Henry, of course, like you mentioned, a blessed career, all culminated into the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame. Tell us your memories and your thoughts when you were inducted during WrestleMania 34 weekend into the Hall of Fame.
Man, going in the Hall of Fame was validation of all the work that I did. So it wasn't like, I was shocked. It wasn't like I felt like, I'm overly deserving. I need to be in the Hall of Fame. It's an honor. It's something that you accept and you keep it moving. I've done just that, and I appreciate y'all for coming over and interviewing. Thanks for the attention.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for what you've done for wrestling. Final question I wanted to ask. You're now part of All Elite Wrestling. What can we expect from the world's strongest man in AEW?
Greatness. I'm about making everything better that's around me. And AEW is the next challenge. And I feel like they got enough tools over there to get the job done. And I'm just there to facilitate that and to try to make it happen faster.
And any plugs you'd like to provide?
No, not really.
That's all good. No worries.
Actually, I have one more question. Knowing that you're in the AEW, we've seen second generation superstars rise up, and compete, kind of like how relatives before have. Will we ever see your kids in wrestling?
If my kids want to wrestle, that's going to be up to them. They got one job: graduate college. They can do whatever they want to do after that. I don't care. I'll support them 100%, whatever they want to do.
Thank you, Mark, for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, we're signing off here at Armbar. Once again, Texas's own world's strongest man, Mark Henry. Thank you, Mark.
Somebody go get that wheel.